your newscast and newscasts like yours are still the only television place, and I've said many times on the air, if you think that MSNBC leans left and Fox leans right, you might be right. If you think it happens in local news, you're probably not right. I mean, I've never been in a newsroom that leaned one way or another, just flat out. So speak to that. Do you guys lean left because you're television?
No, what you get is the people that tend to interact, and they're the ones that pick up the phone and call you, or they're the ones that get on their keyboard or their iPhone and send you emails. For whatever reason, those types of folks tend to skew conservative. Don't ask me why, but they're the ones that are most likely to jump off their couch and take action when they see something in the news that concerns them. That doesn't mean that they make up the majority of the audience. Our audience at KGUN, based on what we've been able to learn about it, is pretty much evenly divided between conservative and liberal, and those that are just right down the middle. But you're going to hear more from the conservatives. They're louder, and they're very articulate for the most part. They express their views loudly, and they are going to accuse you, by definition, of liberal bias. So you tend to get those kinds of accusations more often, but you also get them from the other side too. And in fact, as a measure, we can normally figure that we've done a pretty good job with a story if we're getting accusations of bias on a story from both sides. And that happens all the time. You know, I'll have one person saying, your story was biased towards the right because blah, blah, and then somebody else is making the exact opposite claim. Well, they can't both be true, so that says, hey, okay, we offended both ends of the political spectrum equally. We probably did our jobs.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that means your reporter gets blasted twice for doing a good job.
Pretty much. But you know what? That's how it works.
That's the way it works. Let's see what people want to say to you. Bob, Forrest Carr is listening to you, sir.
Yes, I just like just have a statement and then I'll hang up. I very rarely watch the local news anymore. First of all, much of the time is taken up with national news, which I, already have heard. And secondly, I don't see any investigative reporting. I don't see any follow-up on stories. It just is pab. It's not in depth, and it does have an attitude. So I just stopped watching. I haven't watched KGUN in a year. Now, I don't know how long this gentleman has been in his position, but if it's been, less than a year, I'll gladly turn KGUN on and look at the news. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Now, that's like red meat for you to answer this question, so go right for it.
Well, I would say that if you think that KGUN doesn't follow up on stories, then I agree. You're not watching. We're famous for that. We did something like 50 different stories on the shooting of Jose Guarena by the SWAT team. That's probably 4 times more than any other TV station. We did something like probably 100 stories revolving around Pima Community College's handling of Jared Lee Loughner. Everybody wanted to know why did they never trigger a mental health intervention for Jared Lee Loughner. Well, KGUN found out. We were the only ones to find out because we just kept at that story and kept at that story. More recently, we've been covering this issue of the 911 glitches with the city of Tucson, story after story after story. I wouldn't claim to you we're the only station covering these stories, but I would say we're covering it the most aggressively. We are doing the follow-ups. Now, I would say that I can't tell you that's always been true of this station or any station, but that is certainly part of our news philosophy. When there's an interesting issue and it's not resolved, we haven't been able to get to the bottom of it, we will do the necessary follow-ups. And we take requests. Our viewers call us and write us all the time and say, hey, KGUN, how come you're not checking out thus and so thing? We'll take a look. It'll often lead to a story. And sometimes we'll tag it with the words, you ask, we investigate, just to make the point that, hey viewers, send us this stuff because we do pay attention to your questions. But we do that. So I would say to that caller, don't give up on us because, number one, if you are not watching mainstream news, then either A, you're not getting any news at all, or B, you're getting your news from people who have agendas. Mainstream local news is the only provider of news and information which you can pretty much be guaranteed we're not trying to sell you something. We're not trying to make you believe something. Right now in America, billions and billions and billions of dollars are spent by politicians and public relations firms and organizations of all stripe and variety trying to convince people to believe certain things. Of all the providers of news and information out there, we are the only ones who aren't trying to do that to you. All we're trying to do is give to you the news and information that you need.
Now, I totally agree with that, but I'm biased too because I've been in TV news all my life. But let me just say this, and we have people on the phone that want to talk to you too. When I took a job at WRGB in Albany, and I had come from a news director job in South Bend, very, very similar market to Tucson. You have the university, same size market, all that. And I met the people who were sophisticated in the capital of New York, and consultants had already been there. And when I got there, I had anchors who were blowing me away with introducing news with, "You might want to hug your child before I tell you this story." And that's not an exaggeration, Forrest. That's an exact quote. And I called them in after that and said, "What was that? I mean, I know you got to, put a face to the news, but oh my goodness." They said, "The consultant said that," and they showed me notes and things like that. So the people know we do. Fox did the concentric circle, where if the giant explosion didn't happen in Tucson, just keep going far enough out until you get the video. And if it happened in another country, that's okay. We're going to say, giant explosion. Was that in Sierra Vista? Details at 10, and you find out it was in Guam, right? So they know we've done that. And that part, and people in chat are bringing this up now too, so I wanted to bring it up. That's the only place where I would say broadcast journalism, even talk radio, we all do that to get a little attention. How do you not do that and still let the public know what good you are doing?
Well, for one thing, we don't do that. Look, it's no doubt that consultants have an effect on television news, and in some places they have too much of an effect. General managers in some places tend to just turn the keys over to the consultants, and then you get the kind of things that you're talking about where it becomes very artificial. But you know what? People see through that. Now, some of my best friends are consultants, and I will tell you that they definitely have value. They can provide perspective. They can help you understand what's going on in other cities. They can help you understand what's going on in the minds of your viewers. And in their appropriate place, they are a very, very valuable resource. But in a healthy newsroom, the local journalists run the newsroom, not the consultants. They're a resource. They're not the boss in a healthy newsroom. And I would say our newsroom is a healthy newsroom.
And it's changed because back in the day, we didn't have ways to see all these other markets. The consultant was the magic guy who brought VCR tapes over and all that. Let's say hi to Ben, who wants to talk to you too. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Yes, I'm interested in the cost aspect of a station. How much does it cost to buy a TV station? And how much money do they gross per annum, and how much of it is profit?
All right, Ben. Ben wants to buy your TV station, I think. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Well, I will tell you that the last TV station sale that I read about was $15 million changed hands, which is pretty low amount of money compared to what TV stations used to sell for. It was in a smaller market. It always the sales price depends on cash flow, and in a bigger market such as Phoenix, a TV station is going to be worth so much more than it is in a smaller market like Butte, Montana. Having said that, the Great Recession was hard on television, but it was incredibly hard on the television sales business in terms of TV stations being sold. Now, a lot of players are wanting to come back into the market now and start buying and trading television stations again. They're having a hard time figuring out when to jump in, because it's just like real estate sales. If no house has sold on your block in a year and a half, you don't know what price to ask. So some of these players are waiting to jump in. TV used to be insanely profitable back in the 60s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, when there were only 3, maybe 4 television outlets in any given city. Having a television station was tantamount to having a license to print money. That is no longer the case. Now we're just like any other business. We have to be run intelligently. You have to pay close attention to profit margins. It's just like running a restaurant. If you have a good restaurant that shows good customer service, you can be a hit. If you show poor customer service and have a poor product, it's not guaranteed that you'll be able to make a profit and keep the lights on anymore. So we have to be smarter about what we do. So I hope that answers this question a little bit. We do have to pay so much more attention now to profit margins than we ever had before. But television is still a very viable business. Our biggest threat now is the internet, where so many people want to do for free what people like me propose to do for pay. And so we have to show our viewers that what we do has a value, and hope that economic model holds up, which is changing. I mean, you see what's happening in newspapers. You see the Arizona Daily Star just had to lay off more people. That's not because of circulation problems per se. It's because the economic model for that industry has been deteriorating. So much of their money in the past came from classified ads. Classified ads have been shrinking because of the internet. So we have to find new ways, better ways, more efficient ways to turn a buck, but it's still a very, very viable business. But to answer the caller's question, I don't know what TV stations are selling for right now, because business has been very slow in that area of our industry since the Great Recession hit.
Tell you what, we're going to take a break because we have people on the phones that want to get to you, and I don't know how late you can stay. So let's, you can watch us at jimparisi.com and listen on AM 1030 KVOI The Voice. KGUN's news director sitting right next to me. Ask him a question. We'll be right back.